And if we haven't met yet, my name's Gabriella. I'm a relationship specialist, and I'm the founder of Extraordinary Love Transformational Educational Programs for Women. And really, just my deepest calling is to provide a resource center, a beacon of light, a possibility, and just really a clear path into what's really available when it comes to relationship. And so my path and my life has informed me well in this area, both through the process of breakdown, heartbreak, trauma, abuse, also being in the transformational field for 24 years now professionally. I've had a lot of traction having to do with both what it took me to learn how to heal old hurts, patch up places inside of me that just felt so deeply broken, especially that came out in the area with men, relationship with men, and really learn how to rise inside of me so that way the greatest expression of me is who I source myself from, and that's who my partner Nicholas gets. And so I have walked this path greatly myself. I love this path very deeply. I want to make sure that Mercury is not messing with us here in our retrograde experiences here. Okay, so I had a feeling one was not working here. And so anyway, so also having walked countless other women down this path as well. So what I thought we would do today, just a quick little a live stream. I did a workshop on Sunday at my house having to do with really what the 5 keys are that I've noticed that conscious women, when they use these 5 keys, when they unlock these 5 keys, it really gives them the power to, move more quickly and effectively in the direction of lasting love, but specifically how to do it from a place where they feel authentic and genuine and integrated, connected to themselves. Because there's a lot of material out there. There's so many people out there in the world that are like, do this, don't do this, say this, don't say this. This is how you get love. But I know for me, when I was really deep in the exploration of really transforming my relationship paradigm, which is the fundamental model that I look through relationships to, our relationship paradigm, if you're not familiar, it's the eyes that we look through. It's our perceptions of relationship. It's our thoughts about relationship. It's the stories that we tell ourselves about our lovability, about rules, relationship rules. It has to do with our emotional responses that come up in relationships. So many of us feel disempowered. We feel hurt. We feel confused. We feel disconnected. We feel angry. We feel grief. There's so many feelings that come up. So our relationship paradigm has to do with the stories we tell, the default feelings we feel, also the way we act. There's so many ways that we behave that reinforce what we don't want or what we don't want to create more of, that we're not aware of, that are governed by these old stories and these old beliefs. So our relationship paradigm, when we reconstruct it, and when I dove deep into doing this for myself in the early 2000s, it really was so illuminating to me to see how fundamentally my paradigm was one that backed me in a corner and gave men all the power. So where I stand today is really wanting to support women everywhere. Hey Maya, welcome. Wanting to create, support women everywhere in having a new experience in love, in which relationship is actually a source of empowerment. It brings out our best. We get to be our most joyful. Oh, thank you for blowing the heart eyes to me. We get to be our most joyful, authentic, connected self. And as a result, it calls out the best of our men, because there are so many phenomenal men on this planet that are just waiting to love a good woman. So to me, this is my way of contributing to the sum total of really growing a more loving planet here by really supporting women and learning how to pick themselves up and show up and grow up for love in a whole new way. So what I thought we'd come on today and talk about, and this was inspired by, I led a workshop at my house this weekend, as I was saying, the 5 keys to unlock. Basically, it was 5 keys that I've deduced after being in this line of work for so long and having done 2 years of research studies where I interviewed over 1,000 conscious women that just could not crack the code with relationship to see what the common denominators were. And what I discovered are that there are these 5 keys that once we unlock them, it really expedites the process. And I don't mean it from a quick fix perspective, but it gives us clear direction. And so when I was in this workshop, when I was teaching one of the keys, and PM direct message me if you want to learn more about this. I'd be happy to invite you to the next one, because that's not what we're here to talk about today. But one of the things that really came forward, one of the women so beautifully was expressing. She's a widow. She lost her husband 3 years ago, and she's just really been in the naturally the grief process and everything that comes up. And what we were talking about is how murky it can be, right? Like, and there was kind of this conversation, and a lot of the women that were in the workshop, like, they're self-aware, they've done a lot of work on themselves, they know what their issues are, they know what their challenges are by and large, and yet it's confusing, or it's murky, or it's nebulous. It's like, here I am over here, like, I have this calling, I have this yearning for a relationship in my heart, whether I be in a relationship and I want it to, I want more connection, more intimacy, more times of sweetness together, or I'm single and I really, really want to meet the love of my life. So just even think about what that is for you. Like, where do you fit in that model? Like, what is it that you're yearning for? Are you yearning to up-level and improve your existing relationship? Are you yearning to meet the love of your life? Are you yearning to get married? So just tuning into, like, what is it that you're really, really yearning for? And so I'm in this conversation in my workshop this weekend with women about this. And so on one hand, it's like, I'll use this pink rose quartz heart to represent it. So on one hand, we have this yearning, right? We have this beautiful calling. We have this beautiful vision of love. And then over here, here's our current experience. Whatever the current experience is, it might be grief, it might be loss, it might be the pain of betrayal or feeling mistrust, whatever it is, you can see that it's separate. So over here, we have this vision of our love, and over here, our current reality, it's like disconnected. And so most women, they have this idea, like, we've been taught to think this way, that if we could only get this, then everything will be okay. Or what do I need to do to get this? What do I need to do to get the man, to get my vision of love? Because then I can be okay. Then things will be okay. And I know this is insidious, because a lot of women that have done a lot of work on themselves, it can also play out in who needs a man? I created success. I've done a lot in my life. Who needs a man? That'll just be a burden. So, but deep underneath that, there's still this yearning for connection, for loving, for intimacy, for whatever that means for you. Hey, JKMCE3236, welcome. And so when we're looking at this out here, this yearning in our hearts that we have, and then we're here in our current experience where maybe we're going through a divorce, maybe we're feeling shut down, maybe we've been single for 20 years, maybe we're grieving the loss of our partner, or maybe there was a betrayal or heartbreak. And so there's this big gap that separates us between what we want and where we are. And the common mistake is to think, if we can hurry up and get this, then it'll all be better. And so instead, what I found, we want to get really curious about, what is it that's in this space? Like, I call it the gap. Like, what is it that's in the gap? So for today, in terms of moving you one step closer to the loving relationship that you yearn for, my invitation to you is to start thinking about, what is it that's in your gap? And I'm going to share with you a little bit about what it usually is, so that way you can ascertain for yourself how it might be manifesting. But usually what's in the gap, from where we are in our current experience and where we want to be in a loving relationship, in the gap, we have old stories of, I never meet emotionally available men. I'll always be alone. I'll never be able to trust a man again. I'll always need to take care of someone else. So we have these old stories. We have these old beliefs that fundamentally feel like something's wrong with us or something's wrong with them. These beliefs that say there's not enough good men, or what I need or want is too much. So what's in the gap are these old beliefs, these old stories, these old misperceptions about what it even means to be in relationship, what it even means to be a man or to be a woman, what it even means to be married. So there's these old misperceptions that get in the way. So you can start to see these populate the gap. What also populates the gap is unprocessed emotions. So a lot of the things I just talked about are on the mental level. If we drop down into the emotional level, unprocessed emotions from things that happened when we were young, that there's a part of us that's still playing it out, where we're still upset that we grew up in an alcoholic family, or maybe there was trauma or abuse, or maybe there were things that happened in the household that really had us create a sense of separation between our goodness and lovability, because we were shamed, or we were taunted, or we were ignored, whatever that might be. So there's unprocessed emotions there. There may be where parts of us are still walking around as an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old, even though we might have these grown-up adult bodies. There's parts of us that might regress, especially when it comes to do with intimacy and connection, because there's nothing like relationship to cut to the quick of where we feel most vulnerable. And often where we feel the most vulnerable is where we feel most young, most helpless, most powerless, most voiceless. And so what's in the gap, as I was saying, we've got the mental level, the stories, the beliefs, the misperceptions. On the emotional level, we have unprocessed emotions where we may still be frozen in time, and then where it comes out in our behaviors with men. So also what's in the gap are our behaviors. Like we behave in ways that we might not even be aware of. Maybe we roll our eyes. Maybe we give off signals to men. Maybe our voice changes. Maybe we disappear our needs or wants. Maybe there's ways that we get dominant or demanding and step into masculine mode with men. So there's all these ways that our behaviors also are not conducive with actualizing this vision of love. So you can start to see what's in the gap here. There's mental stuff, there's emotional stuff that needs to be worked through, there's behavioral stuff that needs to be worked through, and fundamentally, there's always an opportunity for it's a spiritual conversation here. Because what we're talking about is fundamentally our relationship with life itself. Can I trust that everything that's happening for me, the fact that my vision of love is out here and I'm here, stuck in my current reality, can I trust that somehow this is serving my highest good? Can I trust in divine timing? Can I trust in that I have many opportunities for things that I can clean up, here in this gap area, that the thing that appears to stand between me and what I want? Can I trust that if I actually pointed my focus and attention into the direction of cleaning up whatever's in the gap, be it emotionally, mentally, behaviorally, these old stories, these old feelings that keep coming up, these old assumptions, these old relationship rules, can I really trust that if I do my part to clean these up, and if I start really behaving in ways that represent my truest self? Because the truth is, for so many of us, we know who we are in the deepest level, but we don't act like it. Our behaviors, our words often do not represent who we know ourselves to be. Hey, Jacqueline, welcome. On the deepest level. So there's an opportunity here, as you can see, as my hope for you can see just from this chat here, in moving you one step closer to the loving relationship you yearn for, is to really look at what is it that stands in the way from your vision of love over here, where your current reality is, where you stand here. There's all of this material, the old stories you tell yourself on the mental level, the old beliefs, the judgments you might have against yourself and men, these old assumptions about what relationship means, misperceptions. There's the emotional level, there's unprocessed emotions, there's where we feel really young and act like a little girl in our relationships. Maybe we don't have boundaries, we say yes too soon, we don't know how to say no. We keep people at an arm's length distance, or we let them in too quickly. Maybe behaviorally, there's all these ways that we're acting that we're not even aware of, that influence our current experience where we're not feeling good with men. And so my invitation for you in the comments below is to let me know what you sense the one step is that would move you closer into the loving relationship that you yearn for. Where do you see that your opportunity is? What here has resonated for you? I would love to hear it in the comments. I would love to hear, what is it that you're aware of? Maybe you're aware of, like, oh yeah, there's this old narrative that I tell myself that I always get this or I never get that, or that there's something wrong with me, or this deep feeling of shame or unworthiness, or thinking that there's something wrong with men, or these old feelings that just keep coming up that you can't seem to move beyond. Or maybe you're aware that you behave on dates or in your relationship in ways that you just don't feel good about. Like there's just part of you that feels, ugh. Or there's this fundamental place where you just don't trust life. You just don't really trust that love's available for you. So I'd love to hear in your comments, what is the one thing, hey Kira, welcome. What is the one thing that you see, hi Andrew, welcome. What's the one thing that you see your opportunity is, that if you were to get some support in resolving what stands in the way, in this gap, what do you see it would be? Maybe it would be working on the emotional level, maybe on the belief level, on the mental level, behavioral level. So tell me where you see your greatest opportunity is in terms of cleaning up what's in the gap. So that is what I want to share with you today. I want to hear in the comments as to what you see for yourself here. And let's see what else. I'm opening a new Facebook group. It's extraordinary. It's going to be relationship coaching, extraordinary love, relationship coaching for conscious women. So I'll drop the link below. So it's a private group for women. Bless you guys. I would love to have a co-ed group, but that's not what this is. And so it's for women, where I will be actively giving tutorials. I'll be sharing skills and lessons that I do inside of my programs, my Foundation of Extraordinary Love program, which is my 8-week program. It's a phenomenal online program that's really designed to support you in transforming your relationship to relationship in 8 weeks. This curriculum, I've spent 15 years finessing it. It is phenomenal. The results are phenomenal. So I'll be sharing inside of my new Facebook group. I'll be sharing lessons from that, and also my Journey of Extraordinary Love, which is my long-term 6-month private coaching program for women, where we really look at the integrations for women that are committed to creating the love of their life. And we really spend 6 months in calling in their man, calling in their partner, and using the dating and relating experience as an opportunity to grow more authentic, more aligned, more empowered. So I'd love to just stay in the connection, in conversation. I invite you to join me in my new Facebook group. I'll drop the link below. I'd love to hear in the comments below what you see your opportunity is in terms of what's the one step that you can take in clearing up some of the stuff that seems to be in the gap that keeps you separate from your vision of love. And for now, I will sign off and wish you all a beautiful afternoon. Good night. God bless. Goodbye. See you later.